Hey everyone, this is Jason
and Lorraine
from Sow the Land, and this is the Sow the Land Podcast.
Today we'll be talking about being out of our comfort zone, and we're going to answer a couple questions from our podcast listeners, and we'll also talk about what's new this week. So let's start out with what's new this week.
What'd you do this week?
Try that again.
What did you do this week?
Okay, start asking me again.
All right. What did you do this week? Why are you laughing?
I don't know. Okay. Let me tell you what I did this week.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start over again. Let me tell you what I did this week. Ask me what I did.
I don't know, we got the giggles
Okay,
today.
we do got the giggles.
Okay.
I feel like I haven't really seen a whole lot of you this week
Yes, yeah.
because I was gone in Washington, D.C. on a homeschool field trip with Penelope, and that was awesome. It was kind of like a girls' getaway, and we went to see a couple of the museums in Washington, D.C., and that was great. It was funny because you had asked Penelope when she got home, what was your favorite thing about this trip? And she was like, I got to stay in an Airbnb.
Yeah, all those things that you got, great things that you saw. You know, the White House, right?
Yeah.
And Airbnb was the highlight.
Yeah, which she's stayed in an Airbnb before, but I think, I'm not sure why. I think because we were with a bunch of little girls her age, and she was so happy. So I'm sure she'll remember all of these things as we touch on them in our homeschool studies. Yeah. So, and another reason why I haven't seen you all week is because you were at the Organic Grower School.
Yes. I actually just a few hours ago, I just came home from that. I spoke and taught a class on this weekend. On Saturday is 2 classes. It's the same class, so it was this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And the Organic Grower School is an event that happens in the Asheville area. This year was the first time at Mars Hill University, and it happens every springtime. And it's just, a lot of workshops and classes on how to grow food. There's permaculture. They talk about livestock, poultry. I mean, if you're in this homesteading, farming space, this is definitely a cool event. They do cater towards the Western North Carolina. So if you're in the Western North Carolina area, I mean, this is definitely a good event to go to. I mean, a ton of like-minded people there. It was a good community, and I'm very happy to have been a part of that because I've always wanted to go. And, they asked me to teach this class, and this was a good chance for me to take some classes also.
Yeah. So you were invited to speak. What was your class about?
It's called Digital Homesteading. How to share and monetize your land-based living. It was always kind of a weird, I would talk to people and they're like, oh, what are you speaking about? And I say, digital homesteading. And I think at first they're not sure what to think of that. Because, all these classes are about farming and getting in there and dirty, and about chickens and permaculture and actually the act of homesteading and farming. So this is just more of about sharing what you're doing online. And so I think it was a different thing. It was a new thing, no one's teaching these type of classes, at least at the Organic Grower School. So it's the first time I think they had something like this. And so I think it was still kind of new, but it definitely had a really good turnout. And this was definitely some good feedback that I was getting from the people who actually went to the class that I taught. And, teaching this class was definitely out of my comfort zone. I'm going to be honest. I know I do YouTube videos, and I don't know, it might seem like I'm really comfortable in front of the camera, but I think it's just a different thing because it's just me and the camera, really. I mean, I do go out and talk to people, but
being in a large audience where everyone's kind of staring at you and then teaching something that you have knowledge on.
Yes, that's like a whole different thing. I mean, I put together a PowerPoint and people are up there looking at you and, listening to what you have to say. And it's, I'm gonna be honest here, I was nervous about it. I haven't done that, probably since college. It's one of those things where you hear it all the time, get out of your comfort zone. And so this is one of those things where, okay, initially I said, no, that's not me, that's way out of my comfort zone. Right away I wanted to say no to it. No, I don't want to do this class. But I thought about it for a minute and I thought, okay, this is another one of those, almost like a test of, say yes to this. Because it just for the fact that it is out of my comfort zone. Because, since moving out here, before we moved out here, I was very comfortable in my office cubicle, right? I had a very comfortable job, and I think our life was pretty comfortable. And so ever since moving out here, just the act of moving out here has been out of our comfort zone. And so I'm learning that when things pop up like that, initially I would say no, but I have learned to try and say yes. Mm-hmm. Because you just never know what doors that can open.
Yeah, and it always leads to growth. I feel like when you're placed outside of your comfort zone, it always leads to growth. You experience new things, you learn how to do something new, and that's growth for you.
Yes, definitely.
So it's a good thing.
Yeah, growing just, personally and just like mentally, it just a different way of thinking or something. And I'm super happy that I did it because I got a lot of good feedback from it. There was a few people that told me after the class, like, they were taking classes all day long, and they said, you know what, this is like the best class that they took that day. I was like, I was floored. I was in shock that they told me that, and I just thought, wow, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
All because I just got out of my comfort zone and decided to do this and talk about it, and it was a pretty amazing weekend. Just meeting other like-minded people. I took a poultry class. Mm-hmm. I saw Chris from Sow Seed. He taught a class on how to use the whole plant, as far as cooking it and using it. So which is awesome. It was a good weekend.
Yeah, and you filmed it, right?
Yes, and I also filmed the entire weekend. I just documented my day, and they had a bunch of vendors there, which were awesome, and I spoke to all the vendors. I even spoke to some of the attendees there. I just asked them questions like, hey, why are you here? Why you decided to attend these classes? And spoke to some of the speakers, and it was cool. It was awesome. I would highly recommend it, and I'm super glad I did it.
Being out of your comfort zone is hard. I don't know anybody who likes to be out of their comfort zone, but there is a small group of people who like to push themselves all the time. And I feel like a long time ago, I was really into that. Like, oh, we've got to push ourselves out of our comfort zone and try new things. And I would, I applied for fashion school and I got accepted, and I interned at Paramount Studios, and I did another internship for Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week, and I was just constantly putting myself out of my comfort zone and just trying new things. But I feel like I don't know, something happens when you get older. Like you tend to want to be more comfortable as you get older. I mean, I don't know, I'm speaking for myself anyway. Like I want to be comfortable. I like my little bubble. I like my same circle of friends. I like my routine. But it's a good thing to break those habits, I think. I'm just speaking for myself anyway, to break those habits and just venture out and meet new people, like how you did at the Organic Grower School, and just kind of say yes to certain opportunities that arise. And I think it's a good thing, to keep that. It's a good thing to keep.
Just to keep it going.
Yeah, to keep it going, to keep that same kind of thinking of like, it keeps you young.
Keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
It forces you to like go out there and meet new people, and it's for me, like when I say, okay, I'm going to do something that's out of my comfort zone, and after I do it, I'm happy that I did it. There's not one incident where I'm like, well, I wish I never would have done that, and so, I mean, that's good.
Yeah, but while you're doing it, while you're in the process of breaking out of your old self and your mold, it's so hard and it's so uncomfortable, and you might be like, when is this going to end? But then I feel like when you've reached your goal, it's good. You can look back and say, I've experienced growth for myself.
Yeah, it's always, I think it never as bad as you would have thought. Like I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in front of these people talking about something, and like the first class I taught was on Saturday evening, and it was the last class, and the whole day I was just kind of nervous, and I mean I was filming my entire day, so that kind of got me a little more comfortable. I was talking to other people on camera, and so but still, like, I was very nervous. And then after I just started talking about the subject, it started to like just come out. It just started flowing out, and then while I was in it, people were asking questions, and it became just easy. Mm-hmm. I was just talking, and I was just talking to people and just being honest with everybody, and it was great.
Yeah. For those of you who are just tuning into our podcast and haven't followed our story on YouTube, Jason and I are very introvert, and we left the city in California to all the way to North Carolina to start a homestead. So that's what we're kind of talking about, is just getting out of your comfort zone. And when we refer to like leaving California and then homesteading now, that's what we're kind of referring to as getting out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
That's one of the things that we're referring to right now. And it's been great homesteading. The whole homesteading culture here in North Carolina is a really beautiful thing. The community here is amazing, and everyone's so welcoming. So how can you not transition very well?
Yeah, definitely. People are wanting to learn together.
Yeah, learn together.
Yeah.
Nobody really has that arrogance of like, oh, well, we've been doing it longer. And
No.
No.
Even there's other people. There's people that's been doing it for a long time, like homesteading, and they want to teach. Mm-hmm. They want to share their experiences with you, and it's a pretty beautiful thing.
Let's talk about what videos we shot this week, or we posted this week on YouTube.
Yes, we did 2 videos this week.
We did 2 videos. You did a video, and I did a video.
Yes.
What video did you come out with?
I did how to chop wood for our tiny wood stove.
Our very tiny wood stove.
Our very tiny wood stove.
Yeah, and in that video, you just talk about like how it has to be smaller than the average log size.
I mean, that video is really, some of the videos that we do, we're not sure what I'm going to be doing that day.
Or what the theme is of that video.
Yes, they're not anything specific, and a lot of the times, I just turn the camera on and just go about my day. And so that day, we needed to chop wood. And so I showed you all how I do that. and that ended up being one of the main points of the video. You know.
Yeah, because it wasn't a normal way that most people. I think people have to watch the video to find out what your special way is.
And you did an embroidery video, right?
I did. Yes, I was so excited to do this video. Penelope and I embroider at home together in our homeschool, and we've been also getting together with a couple other homeschooling mamas and children and making embroidery samplers. And so sometimes sometimes during the week I keep thinking like, oh, this would be great to do a YouTube video on, and that way families could watch us and embroider along with us. And so I started a series, and this week was our very first video in the series on hand embroidery. And so we're doing a sampler, and so we did one stitch already, and hopefully this week I'll come out with another video with 2 more stitches. It just depends on the time that we have in the video to do it. But I love it. I love hand embroidery. Penelope loves it too, and I think it got good feedback, and I think a lot of families are going to start this project with us and continue along weekly with us.
Yeah, we already had some messages on it. People sent us. I even got a photo. I don't think I showed you yet.
You did, because I haven't seen you all week.
Yeah. No, I got a photo, and they did it with their little girls.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
So they followed along the video, and they actually made it.
How
I'll show it to you. But,
I'm so excited.
But yeah, and there's another message. There's a couple other messages that we got that were like, oh my gosh, we love that video, and
That's awesome.
we want to do it along the side, along with the video, which is really great.
That makes me so happy,
Yeah.
like to know that there's other families who are following along and embroidering along with us. And even if you're a grandmother, you can just pick up the tools and do this with your grandchild. You don't have to be a mother and have, you could be a father or an aunt or whatever. And it's fun. The kids love it, and it's so good to work with your hands and make that connection with the brain and the hand, and use those skills. So I'm excited about this series. I hope it does well.
One thing that happened this week that we're excited about, which means it's also the start of spring pretty much, is I ordered a pallet of chicken feed. For our meat birds that we're going to be getting. Probably won't get them till sometime in May, beginning of May maybe. Only because we're going to Missouri for a Baker Creek seed event, and so we'll probably get the chickens right after that, after we get back. But yeah, it's always exciting. We don't buy, we only buy feed really. That much feed. I mean, it's a big pallet for our meat birds. We only do it basically in spring and summer. And so, that's pretty exciting. That's like a start of our spring right there. And we actually ordered more than usual because we want to raise 60 birds at a time.
Yeah, usually we do 30
Yes.
at a time, and then do another round of 30 by the end of summer.
I mean, the reason why we're doing it is because I'm hoping to sell 30 of them. We sold some here and there, like 1s and 2s in the past, but it would be, I think, kind of nice if we could sell 30.
That's a good goal.
I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah. I'm excited about getting chicks. Penelope's always excited about getting chicks. Penelope's our daughter, and she loves getting the little chicks, and she understands. She completely understands that they have a purpose in life.
I mean, that could be another podcast.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic.
Butchering chickens with kids.
Yeah. How we really feel.
We have some questions from our some podcast listeners. We actually got them on Instagram.
Yeah. Well, no, I think I mean, they're from all over the place. But
From the first question from 1870s Homestead.
What on the homestead do you struggle with the most, and what is hard for you?
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
What's hard for us? That's a hard question to ask or to answer, I guess, right? I think for me, and I think a lot of us have this same reason or this same answer is time.
There's no time.
There's no time to do anything. I think the time part is because, I mean, you know, if I'm somewhere else, not here, it's hard to get stuff done. And so it's hard to have time to do things.
And you have a lot of things that you have to do and want to do, but there's just really no time in the day to get it all done.
Right. How do we get it all done? I don't know.
That's another topic for another podcast.
I think patience.
Yeah.
Extreme patience and just slowly try to chip away at the things you want to get done.
And prioritizing.
Yeah, like what you absolutely need to get done and what you maybe don't really need to get done. Do those first. Mm-hmm. And it's hard though. It's super hard because my personality is like, I want to get it done. We're going to do it. I'm going to do it now. Mm-hmm. And I want to get this done. But
then other projects come up in the meantime. And I know that's hard because you want to finish the first thing that you started.
Yeah, like I'm building another chicken tractor. Mm-hmm. I feel like I've only worked on it, I think, 2 days.
But in the matter of 2 weeks?
But in a matter of 2 weeks. And so now I'm just kind of over it and I want to just finish it and move on to the next one.
Another hard thing I think you could say is the rain, because it doesn't allow you to get things done like the chicken tractor.
Yes.
You can't.
I don't have outside. A garage or some kind of
big shed.
Carport or to put things. Ooh, a carport actually would be nice to have. I just thought about it right now.
Okay.
or I don't know. We don't have something that we could use that's a dry space. And so that's kind of hard. I'm almost, if it rains, if I'm building something big like that outside, I'm pretty much done for that day. Mm-hmm. Just work till it rains.
Something that I struggle with on the homestead or being a homesteader is wanting more land. But when I really, really think about it, it's not like I want more land. It's more like wishful thinking, kind of being deceived. Like when I go to visit other homesteaders' property or other homesteads, or even just taking a drive out here, it's beautiful. And there's just rolling hills with acres and acres and cows grazing and sheep grazing. And and beautiful rustic tobacco barns. And I'm like, oh, it would be so nice to live on that property. But I don't really want to live. I mean, I don't think that we're even ready for more acreage or bigger animals. I think it's just more like, I love to look at all these things and I sometimes wish they were mine, but then reality hits and I'm like, oh, well, we're not even ready for that. And
it's too much.
Yeah, it's too much. And do we even need that? We're pretty content here on our homestead, just managing what we have. And, we do have an awesome property here. So I think it's just sometimes being deceived into.
Don't let it control your thoughts.
Yeah, or just being tricked into thinking that you need more to be a real homestead or to.
Yeah, because you see other homesteads and you're like, man, that's so beautiful and it'd be awesome to have an old barn.
And a milk cow and.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're not ready. I mean, only 3 years ago, we just moved from the city. So we're not even ready for that yet.
No. And for me, I don't think about those things.
You don't. I do. That's something I
don't have enough time to do.
You don't have time for that. That's something I struggle with. I feel like I have a very romantic mind where I'm like, oh,
Maybe one day, who knows?
Yeah, well, of course, one day. One day, yeah.
And I think it'll happen. If it's meant to be, it'll happen.
Yeah.
But, I think we just have to remind ourselves
that this is where we're at.
Let's just try to still be minimal.
Mm-hmm.
Try to still be minimal with the things that we're doing,
and not to take on too much.
Yeah. Don't spend too much. Just kind of make do what we have.
Not to get in over our heads.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the next question that we got from Tara Santiago, she asked, what are some things you do to nurture your relationship? So I'm assuming she's talking about
our relationship.
Yeah. You and I. I think some things that we do. I don't know about things, but like maybe some practices that we do is we're very patient with each other. Like, or at least we try to be very patient during the different seasons of life. Like, we're just patient.
Yeah, definitely. I think we understand each other.
Yeah.
We've been together a while now.
Yeah. And we're with each other all the time.
And
we're always with each other.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we're always kind of on the same page.
Yeah, well...
not always, but...
Yeah, not always. But even if we're not, we try to make each other see, like...
Be understanding to each other.
Yeah, like where I'm coming from.
Right. Yeah.
We're pretty easygoing people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super, I don't know. I feel like it's easy to get along with you.
Oh, not always though. Come on, let's be honest.
Okay. Not always, but it's nothing like, we might, I guess maybe not see eye to eye at some things, but it's like, when I think about it, it's like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, and it actually ends up being funny if some things that we don't see eye to eye, we end up like cracking up at each other.
I end up laughing about it and be like, because I think you know what I think it is, like something might seem like we might argue about, but in reality, like it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter.
And I think I don't know, I almost kind of think it has a lot to do with, when I had cancer. We went through a lot, at that time, right?
Yes.
Like we went through a lot of things, and that's like real, like that's a sickness, and that's like, I did chemo, and Lorraine's was with me and helped me, and after going through something like that, I think everything else just seems like
silly.
Yeah.
Yeah, or it doesn't matter. Like
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, after you go through something like that together as a couple, and it doesn't.
Everything else just seems like nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Like just seems so little compared to something like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's why we laugh at certain things. Like, oh, this kind of maybe would get me mad, but it doesn't.
No. Yeah. It's fine. And so we got one more question from last week's podcast episode. Somebody had commented and asked the question, how we make it work on one income. But you know what? We're going to save that question for next week's podcast episode. And we're going to address it. And that is going to be our theme and our topic for next week's podcast episode.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I think we got.
I think
that's going to take a whole long time.
That seems like, we wanted to make that one podcast for you guys.
I think a lot of people would be interested in hearing how we make it work with one income.
Yes.
And that about wraps us up for this week's podcast episode. And I want to thank everyone for listening.
And watching. You could find the podcast now on Spotify, iTunes, and the Stitcher apps. And if you enjoy this podcast, make sure to rate the podcast on the iTunes app. And if you want to leave a comment, that'd be great. If you like it, hopefully, leave a comment and give us a good review. We appreciate it.
I want to also add, if you've got a question for us for next week's podcast episode, leave it below. If you're watching on YouTube, leave it below in the comment section. We read every single comment. Shoot us an email at hello.sowtheland@gmail.com.
hello.sowtheland@gmail.com.
Thank you. Or you can find us on Instagram. Send us a message through Instagram or leave a comment. We read all of our comments. So you can leave a question on one of those platforms, and hopefully we can get to answer it in next week's episode.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys listening.
Thank you. We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. That was good.
Yeah, that was good.
Hi everyone, this is Jason from Sow. Whoop.
Sorry. And
Let's start all over.
I was going to jump in and say, and Lorraine.
All right.
I told you I'm not mentally sharp. I'm not mentally sharp.